Some of you guys have been asking, Big Dreams, Bad Genes, tees are back in stock. That link is below. Who is the faceless stranger training in the post-apocalyptic wasteland, ripping apart tankers to use their parts to train his body so that it might survive the bloodbath that is Thunderdome? Why do Americans feel the need to impersonate the accent of every other English-speaking country?
You sound like you're from London.
I have no idea. It's like a tick, but I couldn't pass up the Master Blaster reference. At this point, everybody's made a video to the effect of Tom Haviland, the strongest man you've never heard of. But now everybody's heard of him. He's the guy to talk about, and for good reason. He's kind of hard to miss. He's big as shit. He's really strong, and his entire training aesthetic is unconventional, to say the least. So when going down the Tom Haviland rabbit hole, an interesting question popped up. We have people who are very big. We have people who are very jacked. We have people who like to train with rusted car parts. Why is Tom specifically so fucking popular compared to everybody else? And in answering that question, we're going to break down his training history, the way he trains now, what the principles are, what his best lifts are, and we're going to talk about the entire aesthetic of Tom Haviland and what our attraction to it says about us. Because I think a lot of people feel that something substantive is missing from modern training culture, and I think Tom Haviland offers a response as to what that is. So to start off, point number one of why Tom Haviland's so popular, he's big as shit. Now, like I said, giants abound, but not really like this. The Shaws, the Thors, the Stoltmans, they're big, they're girthy, but they're soft girthy. Part of that comes into diet. And this is the really interesting thing about Tom that I can't wrap my head around. To eat the way you need to eat, to be as absolutely peeled as this man is. Because his physique would be crazy at 6'1". At 6'8", this is very rare indeed. But the way you have to eat would require just an insane amount of chicken, rice, and veggies, and the human stomach can only handle so much. I think a lot of people don't really understand how the human body can't just scale up indefinitely. The same way that strength body weight ratios always favor lighter lifters, it's the same thing for the power and efficiency of like the heart and the lungs and other structures. As you get bigger, if you have a human being that's like 15 feet tall, even that sized heart isn't going to be efficient enough to distribute blood over the rest of the body. It's also why you don't see, 8-foot plus people in the NBA. They exist, they just don't have the power to body weight ratio to be very effective. Tom Haviland has a human stomach, and he found a solution to problems that other strongmen like Brian Shaw were having, which is how do I eat clean but get in enough nutrition in order to fuel strength and performance. And this is why most of the big guys are soft, because to get that freakishly big and that strong at that size requires calorically dense food and a lot of it, and you can't really be picky. Tom is meticulous about his diet. If you could get rid of the strength athlete entitlement to just be able to eat calories cause strength, and if you had more people that would actually get on the bandwagon of taking their diet seriously, you would have such a shift up in the average physique of powerlifters and strongmen, in the average strength of powerlifters and strongmen. It would be nutty. So yeah, Tom's big, but the fact that he's big and peeled, it is so rare. And drugs and genetics can only account for so much. Look at Thor. Thor is very lean when his weight comes down, but to get to competitive mode, he softens up. So this is just a testament, I think, to the work that Tom puts into his physique. Now, the thing that people know him for is his strength. In addition to being jacked, he is moving what looks like world record level weights, or very close to. He has a 660 bench done with a flat back and a long 2-count pause. There's no doubt in anybody's mind that this would pass in contests. And that is absolutely freakish. He's done seated presses with well over 400 pounds. He's done strict seal rows with similar weights. He's credited with a 1,003-pound rack pull. And we're not talking about above the knee hand thigh bullshit. This looked like a 12-inch pick, very close to the same height you would pull from the ground. He's done a 750 Zercher squat, which is just disgusting. Now, touching back on the qualities that you would expect to scale with weight, Tom seems to benefit from the absolute strength that comes from being a giant who is in a caloric surplus and eating everything in sight, while being very lean, but also retaining a lot of the power output, explosiveness, agility, and strength body weight ratio you would expect in a much lighter lifter. The dude does towel pull-ups with added weight, and he weighs in the high 300-pound range. Forget about the back strength, the grip strength needed to pull that off is just next level insane. He also does crazy feats of explosiveness, jumping with weighted vests, getting higher off the ground than I could get with 200 pounds of band assistance. This 330-pound trap bar jump was especially impressive, as was this weighted ring the bell jump. The guy has hops, and the guy should be in some professional sport getting paid millions of dollars to put this rare set of skills to use. So he's big, he's jacked, he's a phenom, but I don't think that's enough to explain the sensation that Tom is, that got him close to 1 million Instagram followers with a private account. The aesthetic of Tom Haviland really appeals to a lot of people. And it's not just the aesthetic, but the fact that it delivers. Because we've seen guys do the unconventional training, we haven't seen them benefit to this degree before. He has a wide list of versatile training modes that he dips into, and it looks like he's constantly trying to be the most well-rounded athlete he can be. And that's in line with Josh Bryant's preferred methodologies. He likes conditioning. There's a lot of GPP work, a lot of body weight work, a lot of sled work. He likes matching endurance with strength and power by doing what he calls strongman du jour. He has a rotating list of strongman exercises and awkward lifts that he does to strengthen his midsection and back, make him more resilient to being off balance, to lifting in odd ways, to make sure it's not just the same plane that he's putting power out, but that he can sustain strength and put out force in any direction. I've been beating the drum for front carries for as long as I've been doing strongman, and he does them and then some. He does keg loads, keg carries, stone to shoulders. He mixes movements by shouldering in one arm and doing a suitcase carry the other. He does the teapot, where he carries something with an offset weight swinging from a chain because the big ass heavy weight in front of him just isn't fucking hard enough. And one of my favorites and a staple of Josh Bryant's is the strapped farmer walk ruck, where you take grip out of the equation, strap into a heavy ass pair of farmer walk handles, and take it for as far as you can. And guys, if you've never strapped into a pair of farmer handles and gone like 200 or 300 feet, taking the grip out of the equation, you're missing out. If you want to train grip, go train grip. The upper back, the midsection, the hips, the legs, big muscles, they need a big stimulus, and this is a fantastic one. And in addition to that, there's more general athletic stuff, sprints and jumps, done kneeling, done over a bar, done uphill. I don't know what Tom's training for, but whatever it is, he's gonna dominate it. Now, when you take all of that, the big frame, being jacked, strong as shit, the wide variety of training modalities that get used, that would be enough to make a well-known training figure to catch the attention of the average Instagram viewer. But what took him into the stratosphere was the aesthetic. You might see it as the cherry on top, but I think that was a thing that put him past the tipping point. You can see Tom's trajectory going from regular ass gym workouts with balanced barbells that were not covered in rust, showing off his rippling abs, showing his face in a very candid style. As time went on over the last 7 years, he spent more time in his field, more time isolated, more time covered up, more time working with unconventional equipment that were interesting and impressive to look at, and then of course covering his face. Now there's no doubt that a lot of this was deliberate decision making to just double down on the thing that gets engagement. And you could be cynical and say that that's just marketing, but we're all marketing at all times. Nobody limits the amount of engagement they get intentionally. The question is this decision an authentic one, or was it manipulative? And I think it's very authentic, and I think that our attraction to it says a lot about what we're missing from modern strength culture. See, Tom's coach and longtime mentor, Josh Bryant, has a brand, Jailhouse Strong, gas station ready. It's basically functional training, not the TRX Bosu ball bullshit, but getting as strong and as big as you can, but making sure that you can apply it in situations where it matters. That basically means mimicking what power athletes do, elite football players, doing work on a field, practicing moving your body through space, being explosive through different planes of motion. This is ideally what like every strongman should be doing, because this applies to all of those events that strongmen have to get ready for. The principle of that style of training goes beyond the superficiality of modern training culture, which is just status gaming within your own little bubble. Just trying to beat your powerlifting score for the sake of it. Just trying to get a little bigger, a little more jacked for the little bit of extra clout it's going to get you in that specific bubble. But to take lifting and make it something that actually has the potential to make you more useful in high stress situations that might demand it, that grounds you to it. It attaches you to it. It immediately makes it more principled and substantive. When you add on to that the elements of self-discovery, of isolation, of you kind of away from the crowd, doing work on your own. Some of you guys remember my brother Russ. He's a bodybuilder. He's a nut job. He lived and breathed that stuff. But he used to hate people that would showboat during their prep and live on social media. He used to talk about his prep and he would say, I'm just going to go underground. I'm going to log off social media. I'm going to hide. I'm going to wear a hoodie when I go to the gym. It was him against his obstacles, him trying to break past his own boundaries. It was very personal and it didn't have a fucking thing to do with anybody else who might be watching. So when we see this guy that has every reason to showcase his freakish abilities and his insane physique, when he covers himself up, it creates an air of mystery, but it's not like, what's under the clothes, Tom? It's more mystery like when a pretty girl who's used to getting attention thrown at her in the most like reckless way, when there's a guy who withholds attention or acts aloof or doesn't care, it kind of triggers that, well, what the fuck's going on with that guy? Like, why isn't Tom just showing the goods? Why isn't he just like being upfront with it? That humility, that kind of aloofness, that lack of need to showboat everything in front of the camera hits something in us and it makes us insecure because we are so conditioned to see that as the norm. Like Rogan called him a weirdo for like his physicality and everything else. Like, okay, yeah, the way he trains. But to me, I think what hits people that way and what has gotten him so much attention is the fact that he's withholding with his face, with who he is, the private account. I think all of that adds so much to like the lore of Tom Haviland. It's like our egos with our own petty habits that are constantly seeking out validation in the most obvious ways can't handle it. A, when somebody doesn't play that game, but B, when the person playing that game is objectively one of the biggest, strongest, most jacked people to walk the earth. In addition to that, you have the rejection of the modern gym space in favor of things that are awkward, that are rusted. Yes, it looks cool, but I really think it's an isolation. It's being back in nature. It's looking like, you know, he's training for the end times. It forces you to look at your training and ask, what's the purpose? If I'm not surrounded by people, if I'm not showing off, if I'm not lifting in front of a crowd, if I'm not posting this to Instagram, what's the purpose of my training? And that's for each one of you to find out. And I think if more people had a handle on what their purpose was, you would not only see numbers increase, but you would see mental health effects increase. You would see the joy and gratitude that comes with chipping away at something for the sake of it and coming out stronger on the other side. You would see all of that elevate, and all the people that participate in lifting would be better for it. So I'm a fan of Tom Haviland and this brand, even if it is just a brand, because it is the antidote to modernity. It is the cure to the thing that is plaguing us all, which is the mindless ruck to chasing goals that fundamentally aren't that important to us. So ask yourself, if you didn't know the weights of the equipment that you were lifting, if you didn't have a crowd to lift in front of, if you had to wear baggy clothes during every session, if you weren't allowed to show your face, would you still do it? And would you still find joy in it? It's a very important question to ask. So I hope we see more from Tom and others like him, because honestly, we need more examples of this. I pull so much from old school training, not just because of the aesthetic or it looks cool, but because there was a simplicity to that style of training. It was workmanlike. It was about getting your hands in the gears, getting dirty, and not leaving until you got the right answer. Templates are great. Systems, methods, principles are essential, but they have to be molded to you. And that's what's missing from modern training. And that's one of the reasons we made BaseStrengthAI, the heart of old school training, the mind of cutting edge AI. The app makes it super easy to track your progress without having to max out. It gives you updated estimated training maxes. It tells you how to adjust weight and volume day to day, week to week, and block to block. There are 3 different periodization templates that you can use, and each one is made viable to you because volume is constantly being adjusted on the fly. But anyways, don't take my word for it. You can download it, take the questionnaire, see all the different points of information that go into the decision making for the app. And there is a short trial where you get to try it out, play with the widgets, see the functionality. And if it's not for you, you can cancel it free of charge. I'm not one to sell something that I don't use myself or believe in thoroughly, and we put a lot of work into making sure that this solves specific problems with lifters that you're not going to see elsewhere. It's my program, but the AI makes it your program, and that's something you can't get anywhere else. Strength training should be simple. We make it simple. Hit the link below. Try it out today. So let me know what you think, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Till next time, this is Bromley. I'll see you.